going to be getting into our second segment, and the second segment has to do with the Detroit Pistons and trade rumors. Now, I was reading an article this week from ClutchPoints, national reporter Brett Siegel, and this is what he's hearing from the Detroit Pistons. And it says, despite the rumors existing about the Detroit Pistons possibly looking to capitalize on the success they found during the first half of the season by making an all-in trade at the deadline, multiple league sources have pushed against the Pistons going away from their core group. That includes key secondary talents like Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, and Isaiah Stewart. So that's what Brett Siegel is hearing from his sources as it does relate to what the Pistons could possibly do. They're not really looking to make a quote unquote big move right now at the deadline. Now, Jake Fischer had a similar kind of reporting as it does come to the Detroit Pistons trade plan. So I'll put what he had in his article. And this is from Bleacher Report. So it's a little bit, I would say, paraphrasing from Jake's article, but it says, while the Detroit Pistons have the best record in the Eastern Conference, they reportedly might not be significant buyers ahead of the February 5th trade deadline. NBA insider Jake Fischer reported Thursday the Pistons continue to message they aren't in any hurry to sacrifice draft capital or significant trade equity to make a major in-season addition. Fisher noted that they are looking to keep their cap sheet clean as possible, knowing Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson could be in line for new deals. He also added the front office is, at the very least, known to be gauging the market for the fourth-year guard, Jaden Ivey, who is headed to restricted free agency this summer. The Pistons have been of the revelation of this season at the point of a 28-10 record, 29-10 now, and a bright future. So it isn't particularly surprising they aren't necessarily jumping at the chance to break up their young core for a short-term addition at the deadline. Making sure Duren and Thompson are a part of their core for years to come figures to be one of the top priorities, even if it means passing on noteworthy additions of or two this season. So we can kind of just put both of these trade reports together as a whole, right? So I think what Brett said, like the Pistons aren't really looking to make that all-in move, that all-in splash, and they value guys like Tobias Harris, Isaiah Stewart, Jaden Ivey, where Jake kind of mentions like, yeah, like the Pistons want to keep their cap sheet clean. They want to make sure that they have enough money to one extend Jalen Duren. And we've kind of talked about Jalen Duren's extension. Like obviously him or Jaden Ivey weren't able to sign new contracts with the Detroit Pistons, and they're both looking to get extended. Now, we haven't really got a ballpark figure on like what Jaden Ivey and his camp wants, but we have gotten multiple ballpark figures from Jalen Duren's camp. Like we've heard 30 million, we've heard 35, and as the season has gone on, we've heard 40 million. So I think the Detroit Pistons definitely want to keep their cap flexibility open, and possibly making an all-in move could kind of make it a little bit more difficult to, give him the contract that he wants. Now, it all depends if you feel that Jalen Duren's a $35-40 million center. I'll leave that up to you guys. I personally, I don't really know. Like, I like Jalen Duren on this team. I like him being a lob threat for Cade Cunningham, being a guy that he looks to often. But I just don't really know right now. I'd have to think about it for a couple of days in terms of like if I think that's kind of an overpay or if it's just right. But kind of getting back to the Detroit Pistons trade plans at this trade deadline, they want to keep that cap flexibility open for one Jalen Duren extending him, and then Asar Thompson will be extension eligible not this summer but the following summer. So you have to worry about like what it would cost to keep Asar Thompson. And obviously, eventually 2 summers from now, then you got to worry about Ron Holland, right? So I think the Pistons want to keep this core intact. Um, if they can, if it's possible, we all know they can't keep everyone. Someone will be a casualty, to this roster. They can't keep all the young guys that they currently have, but it sounds like they're pretty reserved. Like, I think during the season, a lot of the message from the Pistons front office down to the media is like they're not really looking to make a big splash. They're not really looking to trade serious young pieces, or I guess draft capital for a player right now. It might be this summer personally. It could be during the draft, could be this summer where I think it makes more sense because then you get like a full training camp and you get some preseason games to kind of just, grow and gel with your teammates. But it's kind of sounding like the message right now on January 18th is the Pistons are looking to be. I wouldn't say they wouldn't be buyers, but I would say that they would look to, add some players. They can help them in certain areas like three-point shooting, maybe a secondary ball handler for the second unit. Who knows? Who really knows? But that's kind of like what the message was with both Brett Siegel and Jake Fischer. Now, Brett also mentioned something, and he was playing devil's advocate a little bit. And he said if the Pistons plans change, look at this player. So he wrote in his article this week, should this mentality change with the Pistons, keep a close eye on Trajan Langdon and the front office targeting Trey Murphy III from the New Orleans Pelicans, even though the Pels continue to signal to teams that they aren't interested in trading the wing. Perhaps a utility guard like Ao DeSumo in Chicago, who could do a little bit of everything, would be perfect for this team. Head coach JB Bickerstaff values the addition of veterans on his roster like Duncan Robinson and Karis LeVert this season, and the Pistons have exceeded expectations by miles by nearing 20 games above 500 at the top of the East standings. With that said, there is still a possibility that Detroit searches the market for a perimeter-oriented threat and another playmaker behind Cade Cunningham. The Pistons own plenty of second-round picks. They have a $14.1 million trade exception from the Dennis Schroeder sign-in trade this offseason, which can be utilized to absorb a contract. So Brett was kind of saying, like, if the Pistons do change their mind, and that can happen as you kind of get closer to this trading deadline on February 5th. Like, front offices are going to talk with each other. I'm sure Trajan Langdon has talked with Tom Gores and everyone else in that front office of like what they think they should do with this trade deadline. As of right now, we've gotten a lot of reporting that the Pistons are looking to add on the margins. If they can get better with more three-point shooting, like Brett mentioned, more playmaking. Like, I love the DeSumo mention. He could definitely be a guy that could be gettable. You never really know with the Chicago Bulls. I mean, we've talked about Kobe White as well. Chicago is currently sitting at the 10 seed, playing tournament team, but I mean, maybe that's a guy that the Pistons could look at in Ao DeSumo. I've always liked him from afar. Maybe he could be a guy that the Pistons could target. But sounds like the trade plans for this team and this organization right now are going to be pretty reserved. I think the word that they've used multiple times in articles that I've read is opportunistic. And I keep mentioning this player like Dennis Schroeder, like that type of move, I think is what the Pistons will probably be looking at. That was a multiple team trade, and they put themselves in a multiple team trade, and they were very savvy with getting a guy at the time that was the best backup point guard on the market. So maybe the Pistons can definitely kind of look at that. Also use their trade exception. And like Brett mentioned, the Pistons have a lot of second round picks. Like, I had to look it up. I didn't realize how many second round picks that they've actually have acquired since Trajan Langdon has gotten here. Like, they have a lot of second round picks that they can use. And I've seen in previous trade deadlines, like teams, throw in 3 to 5 second round picks for a rotational player. Like, could Trajan do that? It's a strong possibility. You never really know. Just don't pull the Milwaukee Bucks sending 5 first round picks for Jake Crowder and then not playing them. Just don't do that. As I still remember that. I don't know if you guys remember that a few years ago. They traded like 5 seconds for Jay Crowder and then never played the guy. It was just mind-boggling to me. But I don't think JB Bickerstaff or Trajan Langdon would do that. But I was just thinking of like second round picks at the trade deadline in previous years. I don't know why it came in my head when I started mentioning second round picks with this team, but um, yeah, man, it's honestly crazy. It's honestly crazy.